Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 of our 3-part series in which we're looking at different ways of blending our color pencils. And today we're going to be talking about burnishing. Okay, so the way this works is it's very easy. We again use the same principle of applying different layers to build our values. What you see me doing here is I'm going all over the flower to sort of mark down all the shadows, but then I'm going to begin to work one petal at a time. And we are going to integrate a new color, which is the orange yellow that I was showing you or telling you about at the other parts. This is the color that we're going to use to establish our lighter values this time, but it's also going to be the color that we're going to use to burnish or to blend with. So let's say if you look it up on the dictionary, you know, the meaning of burnishing, you're gonna find that it relates to polishing something or shining something. It's the same thing with coloring. When you burnish your paper, it means that this is the final layer. Once you're done with the burnishing layer, there's no tooth left on the paper for you to add more color, so you end up with a glossy layer that I'm gonna show you at the end. We want to make sure, that's the only thing, we want to make sure that burnishing is the very last thing that we're gonna do, because we won't be able to modify the colors once we go on with our burnishing color. Now there are a couple of ways to do this. I have seen beautiful work produced where the artist has chosen to use a white pencil for burnishing, and I didn't go with this option here because I find that this works best if you're using high quality or a professional quality pencils, which is not the case here. We're using Crayola. So I figured it was gonna lose a lot of that brightness if I went over it with a white pencil, but that's an option. If that's a look you like, go for it. But based on my personal experience, I find that any color that it's a few shades lighter than the rest of the palette that you're using, that your other colors, your midtones and your shadows, any color that sort of like on the same palette that's a lighter shade works to do this. So I would encourage you to experiment. I could have used a lighter, like a very light pink to do this, or you know, like even a brighter yellow could have worked too. So, you know, play around with it and see what comes up. I kind of like the colors here. It reminds me of, you know, when the flowers start to dry out and it starts to look a little brown, but it still has some of that color left, but it's turning brownish, and sometimes they turn orange. I think that's what this looks like. And it also reminds me of a sunset. You know, sunset rose. But anyways, there are also a couple of colorless blender pencils out there. They're very handy to have. Prismacolor produces those, also Derwent, and there's also burnishing pencils that add a shine. So those are other options to consider. If you'd like to see any of those demonstrated, by all means, feel free to leave me a comment. I will make that video for you. I'm always happy to any new ideas and suggestions. So, back into what we're doing here. Quick recap. First few layers, very, very light hand. It doesn't matter which color you start with. You can start with the shadows like I did here, or with your midtones, or with your lightest shades or highlights. It's up to you. What is important is that you integrate all these first layers with a very light hand so that there's room for you to work on top of that. So if you're following this example here, I started with the blue, which is my shadows, my darkest color here. I went over the blue with the red, okay, very lightly, the side of the tip. Then I went over that with the purple to integrate the red and blue. Then over again with the red. See, it's a few layers. Then I added my yellow orange, you know, in the lightest parts. And then I integrated the yellow, orange, and the red using the orange. And then sometimes I went over that with the red again, okay? And once all those colors are where you want them to be, and you see there is enough color to move around, that's when you're gonna go to town with the yellow orange in this case, and work with pressure, because you want to be able to move and blend and integrate all those colors, all those layers underneath, okay? And that's all there is to it, really. It's very easy. As long as your first layers are done with low pressure or you know, soft pressure, you can then go over that and push harder on the paper. What's gonna happen is that you're gonna have a cast. If you were using a white pencil, you were gonna have a white cast all over your flower. I find that happens for the most part. In this case, we have that orange cast. We can still see our shadows, we can still see our midtones. Those colors are still there, but they look a little muddy, okay? And we have that orange cast. But that can be a nice effect. I think it worked. What do you think? Let me know. But I think it worked. It looked cool. But that's all there is to it, really. It's not complicated. I encourage you to practice a lot, and then you'll see some results. And I think we're approaching the end, and I'd love to know if this series were helpful, if it helped you improve your coloring skills. Always feel free to leave any comments, suggestions, critiques. I'm welcome to all of it. Here you can see, do you see the reflection? There you go. That's the white, that's the cast that I was telling you about. That's the waxy layer that you end up with when you burnish. But anyways, those are the 3 roses. I hope you enjoyed, and it was easy to follow. To my new subscribers, like always, welcome. I'm very happy to have you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.